Welcome to my podcast. My name is Karina. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wild Horse Adoption Program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Well, good morning, everyone. It is Friday, February 14. Happy Valentine's Day. It is mine and Randy's 18th anniversary today. We've had some snow, which is a bit unfortunate because I'm finally expecting my hay delivery in about 20 minutes or so. So hopefully they'll still be able to do that, or let me know if they can't. The routine's going to be a little bit different this morning. I don't know. Glove got wet yesterday and now it's really crunchy. So the boys are going to get their breakfast in a different place and not get any grain first thing. So that'll be confusing to them. So not a lot of snow, but definitely it was starting to melt. I mean, yesterday was, I think it got up to 41. So my hose is unthawed. So, and I think it's pretty slippery under the snow. So it is, of course, really important opening the gate for the hey guys. So it's pretty important to remember my pathway so I don't slip and fall, because as you know, if you've been here before, hopefully that's enough for the hey guys to get through, that I injured my shoulder 5 weeks ago, and it's still not completely functional. So I told the hay guys that the road to the barn was clear, and I think that's partially true. I mean, it feels a little slippery, but it's not bad. It's definitely more snow than I was expecting. Well, kind of a really pretty winter wonderland. I would point the camera in the direction. Can you see the trees? It's hard to tell. I mean, it's plenty of light for me to get out here. But they may not be picking up the light for enough for the camera. So hopefully this all goes well. Open the fence for them. Hopefully the fences are still up. Snow, and because we get such heavy snow, it tends to sag that ribbon fencing. I've been thinking about getting a different kind. the fencing. One thing, Bragi somehow ended up on the other side of the pasture fence out there and was quite upset when Odin came in to dinner and he couldn't find his way back. So the fences weren't down or anything. I don't know if you can see the horses. Odin's a little bit easier to see over here. Good morning, boys. So I actually had to go get him, and he must not have been there for very long because he was running around, but he wasn't whinnying, and he wasn't sweaty or anything. Knitting wise, well, I don't have any finished objects. Continuing to work on the 3 projects that I've been working on, and I'll talk about that later. So I'm going to get to feeding. Well, hello YouTube friends. Welcome to the knitting portion of my podcast. I'm afraid that this is going to be kind of a short episode. The day just really hasn't turned out like I thought it was. Because of that skiff of snow that we had this morning, maybe a ½ inch, my hay delivery didn't come. So, and I understand that. The roads are slick. We just don't have enough snow here in the Pacific Northwest to really maintain a fleet of plows and keep up with the de-icing and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. It's disappointing nonetheless. And I was also supposed to have a lesson with Bragi today to continue his trailer loading lesson, or education, I should say. But frankly, the roads being slick and our driveway being a sheet of ice under a ½ inch of snow would not be a good experience for any of us. So the horses got a day off. I'm taking it easy and have been doing some knitting and watching some YouTube and kind of having a peaceful day. Although I have to admit, I just feel a little out of sorts about it. But let's get to the knitting, shall we? So I'm wearing, this is a cowl. It's a colorwork cowl. The pattern, the doodles are by Pacific Knits, and it's a infinity cowl. So I have it wrapped double. I think I originally intended to make it a scarf, but then decided I probably wouldn't wear a scarf. So this is what it looks like. So it's double thickness, and I used, this main color is just an undyed skein of yarn, and the rest are scraps, including some self-striping. You'll notice some like the reindeer, I think that's Freckled Whimsey, self-striping skein, and then let's see if we can go, yeah, that's just more kind of seasonal winter motifs. And I Kitchenered it together, although it looks pretty terrible where I Kitchenered it, so I'm not really gonna show that. And then here's the rest. So it was a pretty fun knit, but I do admit I was getting a little tired of it at the end. So it's a nice cozy day today for a cowl like this. I probably won't wear it too much longer. I will get too warm, especially since I'm bundled up in a sweater and have long johns under my skirt. That just helps facilitate going outside and, you know, just having to put on some ski pants and go outside and feed horses. Yesterday was really spring-like. In fact, I got to like maybe 41 degrees and the sun was out and the birds are starting to return. I've seen varied thrushes around here. Cats are upstairs making a little bit of a racket, running around. It's their playtime, I guess. There's been a couple of robins that are back, and so it's been just kind of nice to hear a little bit of the cheeping come back. And I got scolded by a squirrel this morning too. So we do have we didn't used to have gray squirrels here. But I definitely have seen more gray squirrels, and I saw a possum. I think it was last week. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in my last episode. All that to say, hay should be coming Tuesday, I hope. So, well, let me show you where I'm at with the knitting. I haven't made a lot of progress on this project yet, and a lot of it's because I have 3 projects going and I can only knit on 3, usually on weekends. On weekdays, I typically knit just on 2 projects, usually in the morning before work and then in the evening after work. So this is the right hand mitt. This is a design by Carrie Smith of MyWoolMitten. So I'm getting close. This is the right hand mitten, and it's probably hard to see because there's a piece of red yarn that shows where the the afterthought thumb is going to go. So I am looking forward to finishing these. And just like, so I'm getting really close. So let me just kind of test out where the thumb is. So the pattern calls for a certain number of stitches. My fingers might be a little long, so I'm going to have to do more rows for that. So just a cute little stitch marker here. This was one of my Advent stitch markers, and the little gnome needle stopper is also from the Advent. And this bag, so this yarn was gifted by Carrie when I first injured my shoulder. By the way, it's week 5 for the shoulder injury, and I'm using my arm. It gets tired, so I do put it in a sling, but really I cannot lift it. So this arm, I have great range of motion. Used to have great range of motion with this one, but not so much. The bag is made by my mom. It is fabric from Door County, Wisconsin, which is famous for its cherries, and it also happens to be on Lake Michigan, so this is kind of special. The other project I've been typically working on in the evening is in this bag, also made by my mom. Very simple drawstring. I bought this fabric for her in Maine at a fabric store, and apparently bought her several yards, which I'm not a sewist, so I didn't realize that I was buying her so much. So I keep getting bags made out of that fabric, which, that doesn't bother me a bit. My other project, which is made out of DK yarn. So these are the Valenvent socks. I can't remember the name of the pattern. I should know the name of the pattern. I have the pattern right here. So this is I think this is a Bakery Bears K. Jones pattern, and they do a knit along for their patrons. And I don't know if this pattern's for sale or not, or just for their patrons. And of course I did not print the page with the name of the pattern on it. I just printed the ones that has, the yarn and stitches and all that important stuff. The pattern was written for fingering weight yarn. I am knitting out of DK weight yarn, so I had to make an adjustment with the stitch count, but it's a very simple pattern. And so that seemed like it was pretty easy to do. I did rip this out once and start it over because I made a size too small, which I haven't done that for socks in quite a while. I'm using Addie's Flexi Flips. So these are needles that are bent. They're double pointed needles that are kind of bent in the middle, and then you have to have a lot of stitch stoppers, or your stitches slide off the needles. So I've done the heel flap and gusset, and done the gusset decrease, and I'm just working on the foot. So this is just the first sock. So I'm a little concerned that I'll get my mittens done and these DK weight socks done after the snow is gone, and I won't need such cozy things, but there's always next season. You know, but it's kind of funny. I mean, mitten and DK sock weather can be a long time. I mean, it can be quite chilly in up through June sometimes. That's the way it was last year. We had a winter storm, I think, in the beginning of June that just about decimated my tomatoes. So this is what happens. I'm not sure what just fell down. So this project, again, and just another whip. This is a sun sensitive bag, so when the sun's shining it starts to change color into a more pink. So I don't think there's enough sun coming up through the windows. For one thing, the windows are west facing and it is cloudy out, and it's the sun should be in the south right now. So this is the Briocherie sweater by Kate Oates. 2-color brioche using Chowgu red lace needles. I think these are a 4mm. So here is my progress keeper right here. So I've, you know, it seems like I get about 3 or 4 inches a week on this. So this is the back. This is the front. So soon, I think I have, oh, well, I'm looking over here where I normally keep my pattern when I'm knitting. I have probably 12 rows before I join in the round. And so it'll be a V-neck. I should probably think about this a little bit just to make sure it's not, the V-neck isn't too deep for my taste. Yeah, I mean, I'd kind of like it to be just right where it is, so I'll have to think about that. So just making progress. So I'm using Cascade 220 yarn. They're sport weight, merino wool, so in a rust and a variegated. So this is the main color, and this is the contrast color. So a fun, I really enjoy the rhythm of brioche. I haven't knit that much of it. I think I knit some, the only other time I've really knit some is in a shawl, a Stephen West shawl. But I enjoy it, and it makes such a nice squishy fabric. I understand it's very similar to Fisherman's, but the technique is different. So I don't really know anything about that. Maybe some of you do. So that is it for the knitting. I don't really have anything else to catch up on at this stage. It's just been working. I didn't have a physical therapy appointment earlier this week. I thought I had one on Monday, but and in fact I was running late, and I texted them and said I'm going to be about 5 minutes late, and they said, oh well, we don't have you we don't have an appointment for you today. I was like, oh well, okay. So I've just been kind of continuing the hamstring PT and just doing some shoulder stretches. So, you know, really, this is something my surgeon suggested that I do, is stretch it out for about 10 seconds at a time. And it's painful, but I am finding some more functionality in my arm. Either that, or I'm adjusting. Not sure which. Maybe some of both. Probably some of both. So I think I'm going to end that here. I mean, this video is probably going to be one of my shorter ones. I hope you don't mind too much about that. And I'll see you next week. Take care.